Let's read together verse 17. 110, verse 17. 17. When one of the disciples asked about the principle of how inward confession could be responded, the great master replied, "Inward confession will naturally and spontaneously be answered with an imaginary great power." Okay, thank you. Here, inward prayer means silent prayer. Lumi is a very well-known Sufi master, you know. Sufi is one of the Muslim denomination emphasizing the mysticism. When his students were performing their own form of a meditation, you know, the Sufi dance, wearing the white robe and spreading their arms, they spin around and around. It's basically to drop their thinking mind and be united with the divine. In Muslim, they are supposed to offer prayer usually 5 times in a day, and it was a prayer time, so one visitor saw their dance and asked, "Why, it's a prayer time, why don't they offer prayer?" Then Lumi replied, "They are in prayer." Prayer is a form of a meditation from some perspective, and meditation is also a type of a prayer. One student asked to our second the Dharma master, are reciting the name of Amitabha Buddha. We chanted the Namo Amitabha. And the sitting meditation, the only way for the practice of concentration or meditation? The Venerable Cheongsan replied, "Concentration of your mind without attachments to whatever you do is the way of a practice concentration. A prayer makes a way for the practice of concentration, and you can attain greater power of concentration if, with a sound thought, you ascertain what should be chosen and forsake, what should be forsake. in accordance with the nature of the matter. He continued, sitting meditation is the main path, the broad path in the practice of concentration or meditation. And the prayer is a shortcut to the practice of concentration. If your mind is concentrated while offering prayers, you attain both the greater power of prayer and the power of concentration. You may ask, what is the Buddhist prayer? In Buddhism, there is no God or Allah, the kind of a higher being. But in Buddhism, although higher being is not described in a personified way, just like in Judeo-Christian tradition, the corresponding concept, the 100% the same concept is in Mahayana Buddhism or won-buddhism, it is called the Dharma Buddha. When people say Buddha, they usually associate that word with some historical figure, founder of Buddhism. So Dharma, Kaya means body, Dharma means the truth or the cosmic law, teaching of the enlightened master. So Dharmakaya is the same concept as God or Allah in Judeo-Christian tradition. The Buddhist prayer is not necessarily like the form of explanatory prayer, just like the Protestant, just like the Christians usually do. In Mahayana Buddhism, or according to the words of our founding master, the form of a prayer can be diverse. How you offer prayer does not matter. They usually offer some silent prayer, and then you can practice a sitting meditation, or you can chant some mantra, Namo Amitabha Om Mani Padme Hum, or you can recite some scripture. In that case, not for the study purpose. How you offer prayer does not matter. So in my case, many times I offer some silent prayer before sitting meditation, so that sometimes the merit can be directed, dedicated to that direction. Whether they are religious or not, whether they walk on the spiritual path or not, many people from ancient times prayed to something. Why the kind of a customary practice has been practiced widely in all cultures? Whatever the form or the reasons are, I think many people pray because they encounter in their life many obstacles which is beyond their power. They would like to rely on some higher power to solve their problems, whether it is to attain some wisdom, or, for example, when you are very tired, we can take some rest. But what if we have some cancer, which is already in the terminal stage? Or in case you'd like to choose a job or choose a spouse, then is this the best path? Is this the really right person? We are not sure of many things. So in whatever culture, people have relied on some higher power. But the problem or issue is there that kind of a thing or entity in this universe? The answer can be yes. Whether you name that God or Dharmakaya Buddha, in Taoism it is named Tao. It's described in terms of the principle in a very philosophical way. Or Tai Chi, Tege in Confucianism. The ultimate reality, the universe itself is the power itself. I always think it a little strange and mysterious. The automatic change of the season or the movement of the heavenly bodies. Think about the power that the birth and the death of the stars or the Big Bang. It's the universe is the power itself. When I was a junior, when I studied won-buddhism in Korean headquarters, my roommate, who was raised in the rural area, one day he happened to catch a very pretty rabbit. And he really liked that and tried to raise that, putting that in a very nice cage. So early in the morning, he changed the water and provided a very fresh variety of grasses to make it very healthy. But after several weeks, despite all his effort, it died. He felt very, very sorry. And he thought to himself, he better bury that in the place where he caught. And with that rabbit, he hiked to the top of the mountain. While he was hiking, he told me that he was very much surprised. In the mountain, there are so many rabbits as well as all kinds of animals, all living very, very healthy way. Although the nature, the universe did not seem to take care of them. They seem pretty indifferent. But in a very, very natural way, all kinds of living things live in a very, very natural and healthy way. So even though he was an elementary school student in the early 10s, but he realized the power of a man versus the power of a universe or God. And the universe is the compassion or the mercy itself. Just like the Hebrew scripture describes, the sun shines not only on the good people, but also on the wicked person. When it rains, it does not discriminate whether it is a pretty flower or weeds. It rains to all kinds of lands. Usually, the compassion and the power is two characteristics of the higher beings. That's why in the Judeo-Christian tradition, they usually say omniscient and omnipotent to that scripture. It's the characteristic of the higher being. And there are lots of things we can trust in this world. Our family members, our friends, and so on. But can you really trust them 100%? Or can you really surrender ourselves to them completely? Probably many of your friends would like to help you, but sometimes they may not as compassionate as your parents, or they may have their own limitation, like time or resources and so on. Many times our parents would like to help us, but when you try to help your children, for instance, sometimes there are many things you cannot do, you cannot help because of some reason or limitations. But as for the universe or the higher being itself, It is a pure power and the compassion itself. It is the power as well as a desire to help us and lead us. So the founding master said, the practitioner, the person who knows this truth, who find out this, what do you call that, Dharmakaya Buddha or higher being, they are like a tree that has firmly rooted itself in the soil. And our canon says, now that we have learned about the grace and great power of Dharmakaya Buddha, in which we trust. Even though there is electricity, but in order to make this whole bright, you have to turn on the switch. Likewise, even though the universe is the power and the compassion itself, we have to do our own job. We have to stretch our asking help. It sounds like too much Christian thing, but I would like to quote this passage, which is very familiar to you. Ask, and it will be given to you. Seek, and you will find. Knock, and the door will be opened for you. For everyone who asks receives, and the one who seeks finds, and the one who knocks, the door will be opened. Is there anyone among you who, if his son asks for bread, will give him a stone? Or if he asks for a fish, will give him a snake? If you then, although you are evil, know how to give good gifts to your children, how much more will your Father in heaven give good gifts to those who ask him? I always, when we read whatever scripture, for example, the New Testament, when Jesus offered the prayer before he was crucified, according to the book of Luke, it describes when he ardently prayed, his sweat dropped like a blood. He so sincerely and ardently prayed, not because he lacked the wisdom or self-power, but he knows the power and the brightness of the God or universe. Our third head Dharma, in won-buddhism, we usually offer prayer twice in a day, 9:30 at night and 5 o'clock in the morning. But our third head Dharma master always prayed 4 times in a day. When he has some special thing coming, then he offered some extra prayer. Not because all these saints and the sages are realized ones. They are full of wisdom, but they've really utilized the power and the grace of the universe. Some people are very, very suspicious when they hear this kind of a thing, think it is too much super spiritual and so on. Let's think about that. How it is responded or answered. What's the hidden principle? When I moved to the States 2000, I lived in the residence of the Philadelphia one temple. One day, we discovered the floor of the bathroom, the tiles were broken, but near the tiles near the toilet. And the plumber was called, and he checked several things and told us it was broken. It popped it up. because in the inner court, in front of the residence, there is a very big tree. Still, it is there. In order for the root of the tree to get water, the root grow in that direction. And it broke the water pipe. He said it is not that uncommon thing. It happens. When we spread manure, fertilizer around the tree, we know that actually the root grows in that direction. The universe, all things are the awareness itself, which is proven this day by the quantum physics. Yeah. Before conclusion, let me tell you one funny story. This dog is a very famous dog in won-buddhism, Pakku. Pakku means a Dharma dog. Dharma. We named it the Dharma dog. In one Buddhist person adopted a dog, somewhat older dog. He was already old enough to be trained. It was so disobedient and completely troublemaker in the house. So she cannot raise the dog and asked to the minister of the temple she attended. And there is not any lay persons would like to willing to adopt that dog. It's a pretty big dog. And the minister gave it some thoughts, and she finally decided, why don't we give dog to the Dosung seminary? That is the seminary that trains the won-Buddhist pre-minister. Finally, the seminary has a very big inner court, and probably a lot of students would like to love to play with that dog. And it is not one person's responsibility. It's a very good solution. But still, the dog made a lot of problems in the seminary. Particularly, it messes around lots of things in the kitchen. And it loved to bite and hide the students' shoes. And because of that dog, several times some gathering, staff meeting was held, including all pre-ministers. How can we deal with that dog? And one student suggested this idea. Why don't we train that dog spiritually? How could you do that? He suggested, let's change his name as Pakku or Dharma dog. So first of all, whenever we call that dog Pakku, Pakku, when you call it, then it's a kind of expressing our wish. Then you should behave like a Dharma dog. Finally, he was named as Pakku or Dharma dog. But I don't think the pre-ministers are serious about when they called the dog and they challenged and they petted, you should become like Pakku. After several months, that dog started to change. First of all, he knew he's not supposed to be in the kitchen. And he stopped hiding students' shoes. Eventually, after half an year, the students practice morning meditation at 5 o'clock in the meditation hall. He knew he's not entered the foyer of the meditation hall. At the entrance of the meditation hall, exactly at 5 o'clock, he sit in front of the entrance, and we do not know he actually meditated. Actually, he was there before the end session of the meditation hall. He changed. He completely changed. my point is, even the dogs, which is not that spiritual or intellectual, is responding. It's also awareness, just like all the things in this universe. That is the principle, how the prayer or our thought, our words is responded. Yeah. I have a lot to say, but let me continue next time. Okay, thank you.